Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Four Verticals podcast. I'm your host, Maurice Phipps. This week, we're going to keep it strictly football for obvious reasons. You know, Wild Card Weekend starts tomorrow, and the National Championship was just on Monday. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to give you my picks for Super Wild Card Weekend. We're going to talk about a little bit about the National Championship and the potential fallout that comes from what happened in the National Championship. So yeah, we're going to keep it football this week. I'll definitely be back with some basketball talk next week. Obviously, as well, next week I'm going to be talking about the wild card round of the NFL playoffs, but I'm getting ahead of myself. We ain't there yet. First, let's start off with the National Championship that was held on Monday between Georgia and TCU. Going into this, I didn't expect TCU to win at all. I basically, it was already a given that Georgia was gonna go back to back in the national championship and win. But 65-7, I did not expect that. They got their ass whooped. They got handled, and it looked bad. It didn't look bad. It was bad. It was very, very bad. If I go about a quarter, TCU scored 7 in the first. They didn't score again. And then Georgia put 17 on them in the first. I thought it maybe could get, remain competitive. And then when they scored that first touchdown in the second, I was like, yeah, this shit is over. And it certainly was over. They scored 21 in the second. They scored another 2 touchdowns in the third. And then they scored 13 points in the fourth to end the game. Again, 65-7. So before we get into any sort of analysis, congratulations to Georgia. Head coach Kirby Smart, quarterback Stetson Bennett, everybody on that team, they played their asses off. They earned the right to, play again for a national title 2 times in 2 years, and they won both times. So again, congratulations to everybody on that Georgia Bulldogs team. They definitely earned it, deserved it, all of that. Now let's talk about what happened in the game. So you look at the TCU stats. Max Duggan went 14 for 22, 152 yards and 2 picks. He did not throw for a touchdown, but he did rush for one. Georgia just absolutely overpowered them, bro. They couldn't. I think it was in the first quarter. The first turnover that Georgia created was a fumble on it was on the left side of the field. I think that was the first. Was that TCU's first possession where that fumble happened? Either way, it led them to really good field position, and then Georgia took off and didn't let go from there. But it was like, damn, like you really got to see the disparity between TCU and Georgia. And if I'm being honest, I checked out of this game at halftime. The score at halftime was 21 plus 17. It was 38-7. I checked out. This game was super over with. So I can't give you too super in-depth analysis on what actually happened. But I mean, just look at, all you got to do is go on Google, hit National Championship. You can see all the stats for yourself. Stetson Bennett, they made this motherfucker look amazing. And he's good in his own right, but like, oh my goodness, TCU made him look like an actual NFL prospect, unlike what he actually is. He went 18 of 25, 304 yards, 4 touchdowns. They even put the backup in. He went 2 of 3, 31 yards. Good for him. And then they also had 5 rushing touchdowns on the ground. Branson Robinson had 7 carries for 42 yards, 2 touchdowns. Stetson Bennett himself had 3 carries, 39 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And Kendall Milton had 10 carries for 33 yards and a touchdown. Overall, a really bad beatdown. One that I wish did not happen, because of course, after this game was over, you got people saying, hey, Alabama should have been in, and really, really annoying shit like that. Here's what I have to say about that. If you honestly believe after the regular season that Alabama deserved to be in the playoff despite having 2 losses and looking not mediocre, but like certainly not a top level team in the final weeks of the regular season, you are delusional and you need to seek help. There's no way in hell Alabama should have even come close, sniffed a playoff spot, having 2 L's on their resume. I believe TCU only had the 1 L in the what division? Are they in the Pac-12? Are they in the Pac-12? I think they're in the, hold on. I gotta make sure that they're in the Pac-12, right? Damn it. The Big 12. Why did I keep saying the Pac-12? Oh my goodness. I gotta get my shit together. I said the Pac-12 for like 20 seconds. My bad. They lost to K-State in the Big 12 championship. That was their only loss of the season. And even then, it was like, let me see. Yeah, it was 31-28, an overtime loss. Could have went either way. And, you know, that's, again, against a ranked team, ranked 14, which isn't the highest rank, but still, you know, a ranked team. So they battle past that. That's their one blemish on their resume up until this point. And then you got Alabama, who still has 2 losses on their record. Cool. You want to ignore that? Fine. Let's say, you know, TCU should have been not in the playoff because of the one blemish on their resume. Let's take a look at Alabama's record right now. Let's take a look at their entire schedule for 2022. Where did their first loss come from? They beat Utah State week 1. They beat Texas week 2. Yeah, Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Texas A&M. Their first loss was to then ranked 6 Tennessee. They lost 52-49. Okay, that was a team who, for a good majority of the season, I don't want to say a good majority, a good portion of the season, looked like they could be in the playoff. Okay, fine. We don't want to hassle them too much for that loss. That's a very competitive loss, and they literally lost by a field goal. Fine. And then 2 weeks later, they lose to number 16th ranked LSU in an overtime loss. Again, a close loss, but we know LSU was not that good this season. So it's like, what do you want to do? You want to reward this team for putting up disappointing loss after disappointing loss. Not to mention, they almost lost against Mississippi. The score was 30-24, and then they also almost lost to Texas A&M earlier in the season. That score was even closer. It was 20-24. So I don't get this notion that Alabama had to be in the playoff because it's Alabama. They didn't earn their shot to be featured in the playoff. They didn't. They had 2 losses on their regular season record, and that deterred them from being included in the national championship. Excuse me, not the national championship, the college football playoff. I don't get what's so hard to understand about that. And even then, you want to ignore all that, ignore the 2 losses, ignore the fact that K-State, you know, although they were playing close games as well, they only had the 1 loss, and it looked really, really good up until that 1 loss in the season. And even in that 1 loss, you know, it was unfortunate circumstance. They lost in overtime, blah, blah, blah. We don't care about that. We don't care. What about the semifinal? In order to get to the national championship, you have to win in the semifinal. And they won in the semifinal. They beat Michigan, number 3 ranked Michigan, 51-45. You cannot honestly tell me that them putting up that performance indicated in any way that they'd go on to put up 7 points against Georgia, right? And then let's take a look at Georgia and their path to the national championship. They quite literally came within a field goal of losing that semifinal. And so now, because they skated by in the semifinal, which a win is a win. You can't discredit them for that. A win is a win, and they won. But Ohio State gets to Georgia gets to barely slide by Ohio State. And now because they dominated TCU, this was TCU, they should have never even made the playoff. This is bullshit, like Alabama in. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. It also is very contradictory because what if Ohio State were to have made that field goal, and then what if TCU were to beat Ohio State in the national championship? We don't know. Would they still be saying this if Michigan beat TCU and then Georgia beat Michigan? How they beat TCU? It probably wouldn't have happened like that. 65-7 is absolutely insane, and yeah, that's a bad game, right? But still, if it happened to the other team in the national championship, why couldn't it happen to the team that lost in the semifinal? Right? And then here's the kicker. If we go and look national championship games, let's just look at a few of the past national championship games, right? Where is it? Okay. So 2022, Georgia versus TCU, 65-7. If we go 2 years back, 2 years, Alabama versus Ohio State, 52-24. Granted, it's not 65-7, but that's a blowout. The year before that, 42-25. That's a blowout. The year before that, Clemson, Alabama, right before the LSU Clemson, 44-16. That's a blowout. I don't understand why suddenly, because it's a Big 12 team that's in the national championship, it's we don't need these little guys trying to come up and make a name for their school in the national championship because they don't deserve to be there, blah blah blah. The national championship in recent memory has been nothing but blowouts. I was not entertained by this game, as do I assume like most people weren't entertained by this game. But come on, bro, that's you can't fault TCU because they lost in the championship and then use that as ammo to say, hi, see, this is why Alabama deserved to be in. That's not how that works. That's just not how that works. Unfortunately, this is a disappointing loss for TCU. Hopefully we can see them, maintain this momentum and have a good season next season. They certainly won't be in the college football playoff because we know the committee does not like to even put outsiders in the college football playoff anyway. But hey, hopefully they can get to a bowl game, win a bowl game, something like that. As for Georgia, I already congratulated Georgia. Stetson Bennett, get the fuck out of the NCAA, please. That man is 25 years old. Lamar Jackson is also 25 years old. We're going to talk about that too. But we're going to talk about that when we get to talking about the wild card round, which we're going to transition to right now. We're going to talk about the wild card round. Super wild card weekend starts tomorrow. If I look at the, hold on, wild card matchups. We're looking at the wild card matchups. Okay. This is again how wild card weekend starts off. I went over this last week, but I'm just gonna, quickly glance over it again. All right. Our first game is again Seattle Seahawks versus the San Francisco 49ers in Santa Clara. Here are my official picks for Super Wild Card Weekend. I'm not going to continue my bracket. I'm going to do it on a week-by-week basis. So you're going to get the Wild Card Weekend picks from me today, and then you're going to get the divisional round picks from me next Friday, and so on and so forth until the Super Bowl. So Seattle Seahawks at San Francisco 49ers. I don't think that the Seahawks... let me say it like this. I think the Seahawks definitely overachieved with Geno Smith. Glad that they made it to the playoffs. This is like I like seeing, positive things happen in sports. And this is definitely a positive for the city of Seattle, especially, them losing Russell Wilson. They didn't know what the fallout from that would be. And I would say it turned into a pretty damn successful season. Unfortunately, I think that on Saturday, their success will run out. The San Francisco 49ers, for all intents and purposes, look really, really fucking good. And I don't think the Seattle Seahawks are on their level. Simple as that. If I had to pick a score, 28-17 is a pretty decent score. Might see a few picks thrown here and there. We're going to talk about Brock Purdy a little bit, but nah, not right now. What I will say is I don't see San Francisco as a true contender with Brock Purdy starting all of the playoffs. If they make it to the Super Bowl, that shit's not gonna fly. They're gonna, if they make it to the Super Bowl and have to start Brock Purdy, they will lose. You can quote me on that. And on the very, 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 very slim chance that Brock Purdy leads the San Francisco 49ers to a Super Bowl and wins it, I was gonna say something funny and be like, I'll eat a shoe or something like that. I will genuinely be surprised, and I'll apologize on the follow if Brock Purdy leads the San Francisco 49ers to a Super Bowl win. Here's hoping they don't do that, because why? But yeah, San Francisco 49ers, they're going to beat the Seahawks on Saturday. Moving on to, oh wait, this isn't in order. I thought this was in order. Whatever, I'll fix it. Moving on to the next game on Saturday is the Los Angeles Chargers at Jacksonville, facing off against Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars. We get to see our first Trevor Lawrence playoff game. I'm very excited to see what he does against this very, very bad Chargers defense. I say very bad Chargers defense because they fucking suck. I can't say anything else. They suck. They suck. This defense, for what it's worth, they got big star power, I guess, but this defense is fucking terrible consistently. So yeah, gonna be an interesting game. I don't think the Jacksonville Jaguars are too good. I think they one of the middle of the road teams that snuck into the playoffs based on the current system. I think they went 9-8, so definitely not anything super impressive. I do think it's possible for the Jaguars to beat the Chargers, though I don't think it will happen. I think that, we did get word that Mike Williams will be out for their game on Saturday. So actually, I don't know now. They might, miss Mike Williams too much, and that could very seriously, serve as a detriment to their offense. I'm not gonna lie, I had my picks pre-picked out before the episode, but that news came sometime earlier and I haven't thought it through all the way. I'm still gonna go with the Chargers because, again, this Jacksonville Jaguars team, they're still developing, and frankly, they shouldn't be here. I say they shouldn't be here, but they earned their place here. The Tennessee Titans were just extremely incompetent and did not, somehow didn't make the playoffs. I don't know how, but hey, I think this Jacksonville team will be in the playoffs next season. Would love to see what they do next season. I don't think that they're going to make it past the wild card round, though. So my pick for Los Angeles Chargers at Jacksonville Jaguars is Los Angeles Chargers. They will be moving on to the divisional round. All right, again, we're moving on. We got 3 games on Sunday. First up, we got Miami Dolphins at Buffalo Bills. I would be very, very, very shocked to see that the Miami Dolphins beat the Buffalo Bills, especially with the news that Skylar Thompson is the starting quarterback for this game. I think Buffalo's. I didn't give a final score prediction for the other game. Let me do that real quick. Let's say Chargers 24-17. Yeah, 24-17 is probably what we'll see out of these teams. Yeah, 24-17 for Chargers Jacksonville. Moving back to Miami at Buffalo. I think Buffalo, and I truly believe this, Buffalo is going to blow them the fuck out. Probably going to be like a 28-point blowout or something. Something like 38-10 or like 38-13, something like that. That's probably what's going to happen. I don't have any expectations for the Dolphins because, you know, Tua's not playing, and when Tua hasn't played, this team has not looked great. So, yeah, give me the Buffalo Bills at home, like 38-13. Moving on to the next game on Saturday. Going back to the NFC, New York Giants at Minnesota Vikings. If you would have asked me to start the season, did I think that the Giants would be in the playoffs, I would have said no. I probably also would have said the same thing about the Vikings. But they're here. They're both here, and they playing in US Bank Stadium. And to be fair, I can't accurately gauge either one of these teams because I only watched a few games from both of these teams. I didn't even catch the full game where Justin Jefferson made that ridiculous catch and Minnesota had come back to win against the Giants. I believe it was against the Giants. I didn't even watch the full thing of that. I only caught the tail end of that. This will probably be one of the more interesting games to watch, simply because there's no rivalry here. A lot of these games are rivalry games. Bengals and Ravens, that's a rivalry game. Haven't got to yet. Bills Dolphins, that's a rivalry game. Seahawks Niners, that's a rivalry game. This is just like two random teams, which is funny. I don't see either team blowing the other out. Minnesota's looked very, very shaky at times during the season, but then they've also looked really dominant. Are we going to get the dominant Vikings here? Probably not, because it's the Vikings. But if we do get a, dominant and on-point version of this Minnesota team, I do think that they will pull out the win at home. So give me the Minnesota Vikings to win, let's say 24-17. Sure, that's a normally high enough scoring game. I don't think it'll be any type of shootout, not between these two teams. It won't be anything like we saw early in the season, but it'll be a decently entertaining game, I guess. Moving on to my Baltimore Ravens going to Cincinnati. Now listen. I know what you're gonna say. Yes, I am a Baltimore Ravens fan. Yes, I do think we can win. Let me say that right now. I do think we can win. Lamar Jackson is out, which sucks a lot. But there is a grind out win buried deep within the odds of us winning, right? If the Bengals put 35 points in our heads, we're just going to lose because we can't match them at all with Lamar Jackson out. Nobody's disputing that. But the Ravens defense since the addition of Roquan Smith has been completely phenomenal. Like they've been really, really good. A lot of these games later in the season have been won because of our defense. And a lot of these close games that we lost were only close, again, because of our defense. So, do I think we're going to win? No. I think, truthfully, I think that we'll probably lose by 2 or more scores, if I'm being honest. Yeah, that's really all I got to say about that. I hope that Greg Roman and our offense, come out swinging with the run, because our run game's really good. J.K. Dobbins, him coming back from injury, he's been very, very good. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to score in the red zone, so our record doesn't reflect how good J.K. and Gus Edwards have been for us. But they've been good. So if we can capitalize on getting into the red zone and actually scoring touchdowns and not having to kick field goals, I know that we can potentially hold the Bengals to under 21 points if need be. We can do that. Our defense can do that. It's just a matter of, can we score points? And I truly, it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough. But I got faith. I don't think we're gonna win though. I'm gonna take the Bengals. I'm gonna take the Bengals like 28 to 10. That's probably what's gonna happen. It's probably gonna be like Bengals 28 to 10. That's, yeah, unfortunate. Lamar, if you somehow hear this, please get well soon. We need you out there. Thank you. And then the last game, but not the least, because it's the GOAT. We talking about the GOAT. The last game of Super Wildcard Weekend is Dallas Cowboys at Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't think the Buccaneers are a good team. I'm just going to say that right there. I don't think the Buccaneers are a good team, but if I know anything about the Cowboys in the playoffs, they ain't won shit since the 80s. The 80s? The 90s. Why did I say the 80s? They ain't won shit since the 90s. So, I wouldn't be surprised if they lost. But still, though, I'm not going to bet against the Cowboys. Give me the Cowboys to win. I think this Buccaneers team, I don't want to say overachieved because they have Tom Brady on their team, but they took advantage of a extremely weak NFC South. And yeah, it's going to catch up with them. This is going to catch up with them on Monday. Cowboys are probably going to blow them out. I expect 40 plus points put up from the Cowboys. Let's say 42 to 21 is what the final score of this game will be. So yeah, those are my picks from Super Wildcard Weekend. Let's go over them one more time for you. Seattle Seahawks at 49ers. Give me the 49ers. For the next game on Saturday, Los Angeles Chargers at Jacksonville Jaguars. Give me the Chargers. To start off our Sunday slate of games, Miami Dolphins at Buffalo Bills. Give me the Buffalo Bills. Moving on to New York Giants at Minnesota Vikings. Give me the Minnesota Vikings. And to close off our Sunday slate of games, Baltimore Ravens at Cincinnati Bengals. Give me the Cincinnati Bengals. I said that out of habit. Give me the Cincinnati Bengals beating the Baltimore Ravens. And then to close out Super Wild Card Weekend on Monday, Dallas Cowboys at Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Give me the Dallas Cowboys walking into Raymond James Stadium and walking out victorious. Yes, there you have it. Those are my Super Wild Card Weekend picks. Yeah, I said we're going to keep it all football this episode, and I gave you my picks. I gave you my opinion on the national championship. So that'll be it for this week. I will catch you guys next week. Definitely going to talk about some more stuff, not just football, but of course we are going to cover Super Wildcard Weekend and recap that and whatnot. But until then, thank you for